Hey everybody, this is chapter 5 of Searching for the One That Won't Come Back. Chapter 5, Finding the Right One. This chapter, it's only 2 pages long. I couldn't really come up with any great filler to make it go for a couple more pages, but chapter 6 is going to be longer. Alright, here it goes. Chapter 5, Finding the Right One. It was January 2nd, 2018, and George was on his way back to work at Diversified Tote Industries from Christmas vacation that his employer decided to give him and others off. As soon as he got back to work making tote boxes for the Postal Service, he and a few others got called into the conference room when work should be over in 2 hours. They received terrible news that they were going to be laid off as they finished the contract with the Postal Service and they didn't need any more totes. They were stunned as they were about to be relocating to a new building that just got done being built on the other side of town, and they wanted to work inside of that building. As George and the rest of them were leaving the building, he gave his dad a call saying that they were laid off and it was time to start finding work. 2 weeks of looking for work, George received a call from a casino that needed a cook and to come in for an interview. He was racing over to the casino for the job interview and was dressed to success. At the interview, they asked him a variety of questions, and he nailed each one. Although he was nervous that he was stuttering, and he never stuttered until that interview. He was sure that he didn't pass the interview due to the stuttering, and after 10 minutes of leaving the parking lot, they gave him a call to say that he was hired. He started celebrating from behind the wheel of his car. He would only last there for 1 month before they decided the job wasn't right for him. Wasn't right for him as he was too big, and he himself agreed that the kitchen was too small for a guy like George. So George was back to looking for work, and he found a telemarketing job at Pete Mentors and Perrier Teleservices. He didn't want to be a telemarketer, but it was the only job that he could do, as it didn't require much from him. He was paying the bills and getting the rent taken care of. It was stressful, but he somehow, in some strange way, is able to do the job successfully. After a month of working there, he has a heart attack on the floor and requests that his managers call for an ambulance. They took their time getting to the building, and George was experiencing chest tightness, chest pain, and pain in the arm, along with the shortness of breath. George notified his dad before leaving in the ambulance, and everyone in the call center was worried about him. His best friend that was working there fainted in the bathroom after seeing the scary sight from George. George changed his eating habits for the better, as he was used to eating pizza every day of the week. During that time of getting better in the hospital, he called his employer and they were happy to know that George was feeling better and safe. Now it was time for George to get back to work, and he had to find a stress reliever, and it would become his downfall, and that would be alcohol. He began drinking 4 cans of beer a night to 6 cans of beer a night after work so he could unwind, which really kick-started his alcoholism. Him and his dad would bond over beer, as it would be a family tradition for him to do after work. But it would come to a halt a couple months later. George tried his hardest not to drink all the beer that he had one day. George tried his hardest not to drink all the beer that he had one day after work, but it was no use. It's July of 2018, and George was about to experience the hardest grief that he will ever know. In July of 2018, George lost his dad to alcoholism as he woke up one morning to find his dad dead on the floor of his apartment. He noticed he wasn't moving, no breathing, and no eye movement, and he noticed something was wrong. He immediately called 911, and the dispatcher taught him, over the phone, how to perform CPR, but it would be of no use as his dad was long gone. Guys, the next paragraph is going to be hard for me. Because I literally cannot tell this story without crying. Okay, the next paragraph. He waited for the paramedics to arrive, and when they confirmed the terrible news, George immediately started crying, and the officer offered a hug to try and comfort him. George just couldn't believe that his dad is dead, and he was in extreme denial to where he was drinking hardcore. On that day, George drank all the beer that he and his dad had, and later in the day, he bought a 750 milliliter bottle of Northern Comfort, and he just guzzled it down. And he guzzled it down half of that bottle. He never guzzled hard liquor before, and he was messed up. He just wanted the nightmare to end, as it didn't feel real not having his dad there. During that time of getting that telemarketing job to his dad passing, he went through 3 girlfriends, as they all kept cheating on him. George was about to finally meet his new girlfriend that would result in being his longest held relationship to a woman that he strictly loves. A week went by after George Sr. was buried in the ground. George went to the bar to have a few drinks, but lost track of the amount of whiskey he was drinking as a woman piqued his interest, and she was buying him drinks to open up to her as she noticed how sad George was. She felt very bad for him as she could still see the pain in his eyes, and after knowing him, she walked him home from the bar and he was blacked out drunk, to where he didn't remember a thing, but did remember that he only drank one of his mom's fruity drinks in the past, but not remember what happened the night before. When George woke up, he had a killer hangover that rocked his world. He didn't recall what happened the night before, as he was drinking to forget and to numb the pain. He did find a woman's number in his phone that he did not remember seeing it in his phone, and he sent her out a text. She was the one that walked him home from the bar and was getting to know him. Her name is Maria. They got to talking, and she only wanted to be friends with benefits, but George later changed her mind on that, as they became boyfriend and girlfriend. And now he believes that he may have found the one, but he wasn't entirely sure, as all the rest were considered the one, and he wasn't wanting to believe fully, as they kept leaving. But she stayed by his side and never left the relationship. He was taking it slow, and then the relationship turned quick, and George was liking the relationship now, as she said that she would never leave, but the stipulation was that George was to quit drinking. And that didn't truly happen until May of 2021. And that's saved for the next chapter. And if you like this, don't forget to leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss any of my content. McNeil Entertainment, signing off.